Alright, bud, how's it going? Alright, so let's jump right into this VOD review for you. So it looks like you're playing Lucian Brand into a Kog'Maw Soraka. Okay, so it looks like your team invaded, but you're too late to help, so that's fine. So I like the I like the fact that you Endurance Blade here because um, Lucian is definitely an early to mid game champion. So what you want to be doing is your goal is to get ahead early and use that momentum to carry you through the game and close the game out early because most AD carries, in particular Kog'Maw this game, um, a late game Kog'Maw is definitely much scarier than a late game Lucian. So your goal here is to create a lead early and then snowball and use that momentum to close out that game before he can catch up to you in items and levels. Um, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but you should definitely be starting Q first um, to help clear the minion wave and to also poke safely from a distance if you're using it correctly. So your goal right now should be to be hitting level 2 as fast as you can before your enemy laners do, and to also um, lay some harass down at level 1, get some early trading in, so that ideally if you beat them to level 2 and you've got some early trading in prior to that, you all in them while they're still level 1. Um, and then because you harassed them earlier at level 1, they are now in kill rank. Right, so here you beat them to level 2 exactly like you should have. Um, right, so this should be an easy... What the heck? Why didn't your brand stun him? Wow, he went E level 2. Okay, so this is actually bad on Brand's part. So what should be happening ideally right here is Brand W Qs Kog'Maw, so Kog'Maw is stunned. And then Brand ignites him. You E forward, auto auto, Q auto auto, and then with all that damage in mind, that's a dead Kog'Maw. Or at the very least, you blow his heal and Soraka's exhaust. But either way, now that you have the advantage of being level 2, he should not be able to walk up in CS the way that he's doing right now. Y'all should be pushing him off of the minions and under his turret. And then especially right here, you should be Eing onto him and then Qing him. And the reason you do this is because you have this big minion wave that he does not. So he is not inclined to trade with you right here. He doesn't want to trade with you because you have all these minions. So you can E onto him and auto Q auto him, and receive very little poke in return because he doesn't want to stand here and tank all these minions. Of course, that was before we knew that Rek'Sai was coming. So, in that same way that you guys just killed Kog'Maw, that's basically exactly what should have happened at level 2 when Kog'Maw was right here. I don't really like the fact that the two of y'all are standing in these bushes like this. I mean, although ultimately you do get a kill on Kog'Maw, but at the time when you're doing this, you didn't know that y'all were going to get the kill on him. So, if we think about what you're doing right now, we should be thinking to ourselves, what am I gaining by doing what I'm doing? So that should be going through your head like at all times, whether it's using an ability or pathing to a certain place or, you know, trading, whatever the situation, you should be thinking to yourself, how is this giving me an advantage? And the answer, once she does this, is you get no advantage. You gain nothing. In fact, you ended up missing out on minions because you were standing in this bush. Which is the absolute last thing that you want, is you missed a minion. And then you take Soraka's silence and then a couple autos from Kog'Maw. You did end up playing him, but you simply benefited from the fact that he's not very good. So at any time here, he could have healed and flashed and be perfectly okay. Right, so now that Kog'Maw's dead, we want to be shoving the lane as fast as possible so that our minions crash into his tower and he misses out on as much XP and gold as possible so that you guys can back. So that was good on you. Let's look and see how much gold you had. Okay, so you had just enough for a BF sword, so that was fine. Okay, so now, if I were you, this is what I would be doing here whenever you show up to the lane. Okay, so you show up to the lane, and his minion wave is pushing into yours. Not only does he have he has 8 minions to your 6, but he has 5 caster minions. So caster minions do more damage than melee minions. And they're closer to his turret. So what this means is that his turret, or I'm sorry, his minions will come to reinforce this wave before yours does. So with all this in mind, his minion wave is pushing into your turret. So if we freeze the lane best we can, or let him push, what happens is this minion wave pushes into your turret, and you have a BF sword to his cull, and Brand has a blasting wand to Soraka's Nomad's medallion. So y'all have the advantage. Y'all have a huge advantage right now. So if you let this minion wave shove out a little farther, y'all can then zone Kog'Maw off of this minion wave, because you have an item advantage and a level advantage over him. So in doing this, you deny him CS, then further extending the lead that you already have, which is again super important because you're playing an early to mid game champion. So what you're doing right now is you're shoving the wave back into Kog'Maw, and in doing this, you are helping Kog'Maw because now he gets to farm safely under his turret, exactly like he wants to do, because he's scared of you. Right, so now y'all have a lot less kill potential because he's under his turret. Whereas if you let it shove to your tower, you could easily engage on them with your item advantage, and then they have a lot farther distance to go before they're safe. That's if they stay to try to farm. Or, like I said, you bully them off the minion wave, and then you deny Kog'Maw CS in that fashion. Okay, I like what you did right here with the fruit, so that was good. Right, so you don't feel safe, you don't feel like you can do anything further to Kog'Maw or to Soraka here. So what you do is you make good use of your downtime here by picking up this fruit. Another thing that you could do is to ward, but you already have one, so I think that was really good on your part. So again, if we look, Soraka's back because we got her to like 100 health. So now what you should be doing instead of shoving the wave is you should be zoning Kog'Maw off of this wave, freezing it best you can, and denying him as much CS as possible. And then again, by shoving the wave, we are enabling him to farm safely under his turret exactly like he wants to. So you're actually helping him out by shoving the wave. But by shoving the wave, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're winning because you have the ability to shove him under the waves. When in reality it's actually the wrong thing to do. Right, and then so now that we look back on it, because you shove the wave, and then when the next one rolls up, now because y'all had shoved the wave, y'all were crossed the midway point in the lane, which then makes you more susceptible to ganks. Whereas you could have simply froze it and then been in a safer position to not be ganked. Right, and then of course now that Kog'Maw is back, we want to shove the lane as quickly as possible so that he misses out on golden XP, so that was good on you. Let's look at your buy. So it looks like you're going for a Essence Reaver first. Sorry about that. Okay. Let me rewind that a little bit. Okay, so we see that there's a fight going on in the river, so we go to help, or at least show our face. So this is okay. That was a very good ult by you. Nice, you picked up the kill. So, if you were to have played this perfectly, what you would have done after you kill this Rek'Sai, you flash over this Morgana binding, right? And then you auto her, Q her, auto, and then you potentially kill her. Or you flash here, W her. Yeah, that's the right call. You would flash over her bind, W her, auto, which then gives you movement speed. Then you Q her, auto. And then Irelia comes and finishes her off, because after you flash her bind, she's retreating back towards her turret and away from you. And then again, because Kog'Maw is not around, we want to shove. So this is good, plus you have blue buff, so you should definitely be shoving. Right, so now that we see Brand here, we know that we can continue shoving how we want to. So we know now that Soraka is in the mid lane, as well as Rek'Sai. So we know that Kog'Maw is alone here. If y'all play this right, y'all can dive him. Almost played it right. So of course, ideally your brand would be tanking this. Okay, and then right here, instead of E'ing down towards your brand, if you E towards this tri-bush, you avoid Kog'Maw's passive from him dying, and you get out of the turret range sooner. So you ultimately end up living if you E towards their tri-bush instead of back towards the lane. Yo, how's it going, Raffles? It's been a while, dude. Sorry about that, Beaver. I'm actually streaming this VOD review right now. Okay, so let's see. Alright, so you got Essence Reaver and a dagger. You had 116 gold here, so for sure you should have picked up a control ward to help out your team. Especially if you can't afford another item and you have an open item slot, exactly like the situation you have right now. You should be looking to pick up a control ward to help your team out. I would say this is a bit greedy, but I like where your head's at. I would say that right here, once she gets out of your ult, once she gets out of the path of your ult, if you stop ulting and auto her and then Q her, she dies for sure. And then you end up not dying for free. So what I like to do in these situations, especially if I feel like I'm losing, is I'll freeze the lane right here. And if you freeze the lane here, it will almost all the time, the enemy AD carry and support will rotate to either the mid or the top lane. And then as soon as they show in the mid or the top lane, we want to shove this. So because we see him in the mid lane, we want to be shoving this wave now so that he misses out on this golden XP and so that you can finish off this turret. Right, so if we look, you spend a lot of time walking mid And let's see what you gain from it. Right, so you actually gain nothing. You waste a lot of time. You have all this, look at all this free gold and XP you have just sitting in the lane waiting for you. And you abandon it to make this long journey all the way to the mid lane. And then you walk over the pink ward too without killing it. So you make this long journey to the mid lane, and then so what do you gain from it? You gain virtually nothing. You actually lose because you end up dying. So what you could have done is you could have pushed this minion wave, and took this turret, and your team would have been far better off if that happened instead. And your team arguably would have been in the same situation, or maybe even less of a situation in the mid lane, because without you being there they would have been less confident, so they would have played safer, and then maybe Ari doesn't die there. Right, so again, we see Kog'Maw in the mid lane, so we want to be shoving this. So if we're looking at our mini-map here, while you're shoving this lane, we have tabs on four players. We have tabs on Rek'Sai, Kog'Maw, and Soraka. So with this in mind, the only person we don't have tabs on is Morgana. And if you just simply come and ward this bush right here, you discover they have a pink in it, you kill the pink, then you feel safe to go ahead and finish this tower off. And then of course by doing that, you get your team global gold and XP. See, with you there, this tower falls 100%. And then you can still do the exact same thing you did once the tower falls by coming back and picking up these golems. Right, so like I've said, as Lucian you want to get ahead and stay ahead, and you did good in getting ahead, but you're not doing as good of a job as you could in staying ahead and keeping that momentum. So there's advantages that you could be taking which you're not, to ensure that you're staying ahead. So I don't think your flash is necessary here, because we see, if we look, we see Darius, he just used his E and he just used his W. We'll watch it again. This ult by you was really good. See Darius's Q, E, W. So now what does he have to threaten you with? Well, not really anything. You simply got scared because you saw Darius with a black shield in your face. So if we're keeping track of his cooldowns like we should be, we know that he has nothing to threaten you with, making your flash here unnecessary. Right, so now that lead that you've built up is slipping away now. If we look at the gold, Kog'Maw has just, with that turret falling, so right now y'all are more or less even. So now once that turret falls, he's just surpassed you. So now he's ahead. So unless something drastic happens, this Kog'Maw's lead is now going to snowball into a bigger and bigger one until you eventually lose the game, because you've lost that momentum that you once had earlier in the game. So the answer, of course, would then be to you need to play smarter than him. You need to continue to look to out-farm him. And then, of course, take smart fights. But the most important thing, of course, would be to out-farm him. A lot of times, even if you lose the lane, if you continue farming and he does not, then you can either keep up with him or surpass him. Right, so as soon as we see the Krug spawn here on your minimap, that's where you should be running towards. You take red, which is fine. That was close. Without being hypercritical, the only thing I think you could have done better here is you could have been standing on top of Morgana instead of being so far away from her. Because ultimately what prevents you from getting this kill right here is this distance. Right? So if you stay close to her, of course that enables you to get more auto attacks off and you end up killing her. Right, and then instead of dying for free, you kill Morgana and die. don't know how much I like that play either. Right, so like I said earlier, you should be thinking to yourself, what do I get from making this play? And of course, hindsight is 2020, and it's easy to critique during a review like this, but if we look, okay, it's 2017 on the timer, you just spawned. So let's just take a moment to appreciate how much time goes by and then how little you have to show for it. Okay. See, look at all this time, you're just walking around not accomplishing anything. So a whole minute has passed now since you spawned, and you've made 0 gold for yourself. So while the whole time your Kog'Maw's farming minions, killing champions like Ahri and Irelia. So your Kog'Maw's advantage is only getting larger while you haven't done anything to mitigate that gap that he's creating and how much gold you have made versus how much gold he has made. So again, another thing that you could be doing to help keep yourself viable once this minion wave falls is like, what about the Gromp here? What about the wolves? What about the wraiths? There's all this free gold lying around the map that you should be taking for yourself. That's how pro players, you know, like Doublelift or Bjergsen or whoever you like, that's how these pro players have 100 more CS than you do at 22 minutes in the game, is because they are looking to maximize how much gold they are taking in and making the most out of their time. So in any downtime that you have, whether it be that you're dead or you're backing or whatever it may be, you need to be analyzing the state of the minion waves and analyzing the state of the jungle camps, and then planning a route in your head. What is going to net me the most gold in the fastest time? So an example of this might be if we're looking at what's going on right now in this moment in time, you could come collect this top wave that Morgana's pushing into your turret, and then from there collect the Gromp, then collect the wolves, then collect the raptors, and then the golems, and then you can back, or if there's a bottom wave, you can collect the bottom wave after that, and then you can recall. And then you can get the crabs in there too if you want to. So that's just like an example of the kind of thought process and mindset that you should have when you're playing. Right, so you do end up going top, which I feel is the right call. You shoved them off of your tower, so that was good. But now they're pushing mid. Okay, so you know that the inhibitor is gone, so you're trying to gain advantages in other places, so this is good. Although I would say it's a bad idea to fight Rek'Sai there. Especially fed as he is. So here, let's see how much gold you had. You had about 1,000 gold because you have a pickaxe and 125 gold left over. So because they have a Soraka, I would say that a Executioner's Calling would have been a better buy here, and then you continue with your build path to Infinity Edge. Right, and then so at this point there's not really a whole lot you can do except just try to clear the minion waves best you can. And then, of course, the game ends here. So, some final takeaways, I would say you have to keep in mind when you pick Lucian that if you're gonna play Lucian, he is not a late game carry, so your goal is to get ahead early and stay ahead and use that momentum to close out the game. Other things you can do is again to plan a route in your head and try to figure out what route can I take to net me the most gold possible in the fastest amount of time so that I make as much gold as I can to snowball. If you think that your laning phase is weak, what you can do is, if you think your laning phase is weak, then maybe Lucian isn't the champion that you should be maining. Maybe you should be picking someone who's more of a late game champion, such as Vayne or Tristana or Jinx. But right, so when you pick Lucian, you need to have in your mind, okay, my win condition is to get ahead and stay ahead and close the game early. And also, if we look at probuilds.net at Lucian, it appears that the build that you're taking isn't the build that most of the pros are doing. So it looks like most of the pros are going Blade of the Rune King, Black Cleaver, and Phantom Dancer. So that's another thing that I would do, especially if you're looking to main a champion or pick up a new one. I always like to go to probuilds.net and then check out what the pros are doing. That's about it. That's all I got for you. So feel free to message me any questions you might have or feedback you might have for me. And good luck in your future games, bro. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you thought. Thanks. Bye.